perfection is the enemy of good enough. And I'm thinking, if a rocket scientist says this, and it's good enough for him, it's good enough for me. And so it's okay to not be perfect in everything we do. And it's okay if things around you aren't just perfect and the way you would like them. Yes, make improvements, but it doesn't have to be perfect.
Welcome to Music City Giving, a show about the unsung leaders and volunteers behind Nashville's nonprofits, foundations, and charitable organizations. I'm Joe Crosby, and on today's show, Mark Weller, Director of Development at Rocketown. So I guess to kind of start out, how did you really find your way into the nonprofit world and, specifically development?
Well, I don't, to answer the second part of the question, yes. I don't think anybody goes into nonprofit work because they want to raise money. Yeah. Nobody does that. Yeah. People go into nonprofit work because they want to make a difference in people's lives. They want to change lives. They want to save lives. They want to improve lives, and development fundraising is just part of that. But that's not a reason people typically get into
Sure.
into nonprofits. But the path to getting involved in nonprofit is just that. People want to make a difference, whether it's with animals or the environment, or changing lives and saving lives. People want to make a difference, and so that's really why people step into nonprofits
Sure.
in the first place, because that's where those kind of change influences happen typically.
Sure. So what would be your, if we talk in the superhero realm, what would be your origin story? Where did you get started in the nonprofit realm?
Well, I got started when I was in college with the YMCA, and at that point, I don't think I even knew that it was a nonprofit or even understood what a nonprofit was. And but I got started in early college, just working in the men's locker room at a YMCA, and eventually they asked me if I would help with a Saturday morning fun club, and then eventually started working in the summer camps. And so that's really how I got my start, and then I was fortunate enough to spend the next 33 years in summer camps.
Yep.
And so it was a great career.
Yeah. And then now, so now you're at Rocketown now. So what kind of led you to, I guess Rocketown camping is very centered around kids coming to camp in the summer.
Yeah.
Rocketown also, it's very kid centric.
Yeah.
What would you say is your motivation for working with kids?
Well, my motivation for working with kids is really there's no better investment that a person can make than investment in the life of a child, and so we wanted, and when I say we, my wife and I, as a couple, really had the desire to have an influence on kids, and specifically to help kids hear the gospel, understand the gospel, and maybe even have a chance to accept Christ as their Lord and Savior. And camping is a great venue to do that. Y Camping is a great venue to do that. And Rocketown is likewise a great venue that reaches out to kids who would never have the chance to go to a summer camp, and kids who've never been away from the bricks, and don't hear the gospel because they don't have the opportunity to go to church. It's not part of their culture, part of their family's culture, or they don't have transportation to get there. A number of reasons, but they can come to Rocketown, and it's a place where we're going to love on the kids through the love of Christ, and give them hope that there is better ways, and there's a future for them, and they'll also hear the gospel message a few times a week.
And there's obviously a factor of fun in both of those realms.
Oh, absolutely.
I mean, you can't teach kids without, I think, that fun aspect.
I actually, when I went to college, I studied to be a math teacher.
Really?
And I actually did teach for a little bit, but as I was finishing up my college degree and realizing, I had a whole lot more fun working at summer camps than I ever had in the math classroom.
I can't imagine why.
So why in the world would I want to do that?
So, on kids, you have 5 kids.
Right.
I'm going to see if I can do this in order.
Okay.
Elizabeth, Jacob, Jillian, Hannah, Molly.
Wow, very good.
Did I do it?
That's nice.
Okay.
Very nice.
I remember. I've
good memory.
I know all of them. So, I guess on that personal level of your kids, as a parent, what are the character traits you see in them that that they've kind of ended up with that you're the most proud of?
Yeah, good question. I think first and foremost is self-confidence, and in today's society, it sometimes is hard to gain that self-confidence because of the environment people are in. But we were fortunate enough to be in a camp environment year-round, and the kids learn that there's a whole lot that they can do and achieve on their own, and so I'm really proud that they all ended up with that, and all the kids, including the 4 girls, they know how to work on cars and change starters and alternators, and in fact, I think you or your brother gave us a car or sold us a car at one point.
Yep.
The
Corolla, the old Corolla.
And that car got worked on quite a bit, and got in a few accidents too. But they learned outdoor skills. They learned ways that they could enjoy one another and enjoy friends without being connected to an electronic screen, and that's really a big deal. And as they got older, then they began to travel on their own, and I've had my kids tell me that they're just feel so good that they have the confidence that they can travel anywhere in the world and feel comfortable and know how to do it. And so that's one of the character traits that I think I'm most proud of.
Well, that literally leads into my next question. You just knowing who you are, you have a love for the outdoors, whether it's camping, hiking, kayaking, rafting, whatever it is. What is it about the outdoors and that kind of draws you in?
Well, outdoors just screams the creation of God. It just does, and with my mathematical mind, I can see the math in creation in certain elements of trees and flowers and so on, and I just love that. But I just love being out in the creation and just being in awe in what's there and being able to see it, and I love a great full moon. Like last night's full moon was the last full moon of this decade,
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Interesting.
And,
yeah, that's true. It is.
It was just like, and I told my daughter, Miley, you got to go out and look at the full moon. It's the last full moon of the decade. And she said, what? We're not going to have another full moon for 10 years? I said, no, the last full moon of this decade. So, and I love a great sunset, and I love the quietness of being out in the woods or out in the middle of a lake, and it's just a time that I feel like when I'm outdoors, that I just feel like it's a time that I can just that I can be close to God and just say thank you, and I have an appreciation for this. I mean, even here at Rocketown, when I first got here, one of the summer days I was out on the back patio in the evening, and the sun had already set and it was dark, and sitting there looking at the skyline of Nashville, and it's even like, oh God, this is so beautiful.
Yep.
And it's not the wilderness, but this is really neat.
Yep.
And it just had a great look and has a great feel, and so
I mean, and that goes directly back in my mind, kind of goes to me just my daughter's just starting to get comfortable walking around in the yard and things, and seeing her run around the backyard, being out there with your kids. It seems like it's a great opportunity to go back to what you just said. Teaching. You could teach a kid to do a million things in the woods, build something, use your imagination, that kind of thing. So it ties right back into that parenting thing as well, I think. So, so I'm inherently a shy introvert. So I find energy from quiet time, being alone.
Well, I would never have guessed that from your camp days, and seeing you up on stage, and the skits and the songs.
That's actually a good point. That's a good point. So in your case, you're outgoing person. I don't know if you're an introvert. I don't know if you're extrovert. I would assume extrovert.
You're wrong. I'm very much an introvert.
Okay. All right. Interesting.
Very much.
That is interesting. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm glad I asked. So, having said that, how do you recharge your batteries at the end of the day?
At the end of the day?
At the end of the day, end of the week,
Well, because I'm an introvert, I have to work hard at being out there, and part of working nonprofit is being out there, being transparent, being vulnerable, and whether it's working with kids or donors or colleagues. You have to be out there. You cannot be reclusive in an office in a nonprofit. It's just not going to have the impact that you want it to have. And so for me personally, it's a lot of work. Even as a camp director, being up on stage and singing songs and helping with family nights and so on, it was very much, it's a learned thing.
Oh, absolutely.
And something that I have to work on all the time. So the way I recharge is I need quiet time at home. I mean, that's basically it. Yep. Or on the weekend, sometimes I just need to get away. Not always by myself, but
sure.
One other person is good, maybe two, but I just, small group or by myself, and put the kayak on the river or out in the lake and take off. I just enjoy that time.
Yeah, absolutely.
That quiet time.
So, we kind of live in a world that's we're kind of headline readers, I mean, we like to get information quick. So, what are some? I guess this would be related to personal improvement. Either that's physically, emotionally, spiritually. What are some soundbite answers or bullet points that you could give that that could help someone to improve themselves in those ways?
First thing that comes to my mind is as I grew up and started working, I was very much a perfectionist, and even in the early camp days as a camp director. I was very much a perfectionist, wanted things done in a certain way. And at one point, my brother, who is a rocket scientist,
really,
and worked with
older or younger?
NASA, older.
Okay,
worked with NASA, worked on the space shuttle, and he said this. He said, "Perfection is the enemy of good enough." And I'm thinking, if a rocket scientist says this, and it's good enough for him, it's good enough for me. Yeah. And so it's okay to not be perfect in everything we do. And it's okay if things around you aren't just perfect in the way you would like them. Yes, make improvements, but it doesn't have to be perfect. Now, for me, that was self-improvement, to just relax and let things go as a director of a nonprofit, mm-hmm. and let things flow. Everything's going to be okay in the end. It's just going to be okay. And what I learned was, well, it was better than okay. It was better than I could have done, and if I hadn't let go. So, that's something that has stuck with me for quite a while.
Yeah,
that's really helped me.
Kind of along the lines of that, I don't want to say it's a buzzword. It's a big thing that's kind of coming out these days with the social media negative commenting and things. I think either judgment of self or judgment of others tied to empathy. Mm-hmm. What are some things here that you are that your program manager, your program directors and things? How are y'all kind of teaching empathy to kids?
Well, the kids who are here at Rocketown, they're really not on their screens while they're here, mm-hmm. and they're interacting with one another, whether they're writing songs or working on some music, or in the skate park, or in the art studio, or just hanging out in the coffee bar playing board games. They're not on their screen, and they're learning to have those one-on-one communications, develop the deep relationships, and along with those personal relationships comes the empathy as they get to know one another as individuals and as people, and not just somebody else on a screen someplace else. Which is difficult maybe to have empathy for somebody in their situation, but as you build those long-term relationships, the empathy just naturally follows mm-hmm. that. And so I'm just very impressed with, not that there's a rule here, you have to be off your screen. Mm-hmm. There's absolutely no rule like that. Mm-hmm. But it's just the culture here. Yeah. That when kids get here, they choose to stay off their phone, and they choose to interact with.
There are hundreds of things to do here. It looks like so. Right. I mean, you don't need a phone when you've got friends and you've got activities.
Right.
So
you really don't need that, and so that would be one of the ways that we're teaching empathy here. But you are right that empathy is one of the most important things for all of us to learn, and as these kids grow up and get into their career, the empathy is going to be one of the most important skills to have mm-hmm. in a career. And it doesn't matter if they're an auto mechanic or if they're a housekeeper or if they're a computer programmer or a business executive. That empathy is going to be really the most important thing, skill that they have. And so, great question.
So yeah, I want to get into Rocketown now. It's been here for a long time. I've lived in Nashville my whole life, but Rocketown's been here, a a long time. I mean, you can give me a little more details, but what kind of value is Rocketown bringing to Nashville these days?
Well, I think the value Rocketown brings to Nashville is the same today as it was 25 years ago. And 25 years ago, Rocketown's been in 3 different locations over the 25 years. We celebrated our 25th anniversary this year. And it's actually started down in Franklin.
Oh, okay.
And Michael W. Smith, who's a Christian artist, saw that teenagers, were just cruising the streets of downtown Franklin, and they'd cut the square and drive around. He said, we need some place for these teens to go, and opened up a small venue for them to go, kind of a nightclub kind of feel. But shortly after that was the Columbine shootings. And Michael had a lot of empathy for what was going on there, and he got very involved in that. And Michael said that had those boys who did that had a place to go where there were adult mentors in their life, where a place where they could find hope, maybe this wouldn't have happened. And so he decided to move Rocketown to downtown Nashville. He said, it's not going to happen here. And we're going to move this right down to the heart of the city where it's needed the most. And so Rocketown opened up over on 4th Avenue at that time, and began offering hope to the next generation through Christ's love, and helping kids find peace and purpose and possibilities in their life. When the Music City Center was going to be built, the property was taken by that, and Rocketown moved a few blocks away to where we are now, 4th Avenue South. Now we were on 6th Avenue South.
Okay.
Now we're on 4th Avenue South, but the purpose hasn't changed, and we still want to help kids to find their peace and purpose and possibilities in life. We still want to offer hope to the next generation, and kids come every single day after school. Kids are here in the summer and during school breaks. They're here all day long, and they choose to come. It's not because there's a program they signed up for. It's because of they're drawn here because of the activities and their friends and the adult mentors who are investing their time into them. They're drawn here every day, and so we're grateful for that.
Yeah. So what are some of the programs and activities and things, or maybe these are new and upcoming, or something that's been here for 25 years? What are some of the most popular things?
Well, things change, and we want to do what the kids want to do. So, for example, in October there was a group of kids who said, we'd like to do a short film. We'd like to shoot a movie. Well, okay, we've got equipment for that. Let's do that. And they began to storyboard it and write the script, and they shot a movie, and which was fabulous.
Yeah.
And because we're here with the kids, we'll do what they want to do. There are certain things that are here that have been here for a long time. So the music studios are one thing that have been here for quite a while, and that comes from out of Michael W. Smith and his music background and wanting to get kids into music, and they don't have the same opportunities in school today. So you have
recording equipment and instruments that they can use?
Absolutely.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, they can learn to play. We have almost any kind of instrument you could think of here that they can learn to play.
Oh, that's cool.
And then we do have recording studios, and one of the differences between our recording studio and maybe others in town is when they record here, they own the music.
Oh yeah, okay.
We don't own the music; they own their own music. And some of the kids have put together bands and have done very well. There's other kids who are not interested in doing the bands and being on stage, but they're interested in being backstage. Yep. They're interested in being in front of the house and learning sound and lighting, and some of those kids have gone on to work in other venues around town.
Oh, cool.
And so they're finding that they have skills that they didn't know they had, and are gaining those skills here. Rocketown also has a indoor skate park and an outdoor skate park. It's the only indoor skate park in the southeast until you get to Tampa, Florida. And so we have a group of kids who just love to skate. And when I say skate, they can really bring in anything with wheels, just about. I mean, you see scooters in there, you see BMN bikes in there, and rollerblades in there, and we've got half pipe and all kinds of ramps and jumps and fun things that the kids can do. And so there's a whole group of kids who love to come and just skate. But on Tuesday nights we also have skate church, and kids love skate church. They come in and they skate, and we play some games, and there's a message, and we have some pizza and enjoy it. But there's kids who come in every single Tuesday just for skate church.
Very cool.
They love that. It's very, very unique. There's a art studio here. There's a coffee bar here. There's two music venues here, and we have one student who's puts together some concerts and gets bands, high school bands, and so on, and they all get to play. And we do put on a Rocketown's Got Talent kind of thing once a year, and we do a battle of the bands, and so try to take the different venues we have and do different types of activities.
Sure.
I love our outreach director, Donnie. On Wednesdays, he does a thing he calls Wisdom and Eats, which is surprisingly very popular. And he gathers up, he'll bring out 14, 15 different kinds of cereal and set it on the table. Now, this is not your cheap cereal, okay? This is a cereal that your mom would never buy, all right? And it's the brand name. The name brand stuff, the Fruity Pebbles and Cocoa Puffs and Captain Crunch, and, it can't be the generic stuff. And he puts all this on the table, and the kids sit around this big table. They push them all together, and they have some conversations about things that are happening in the world now. They have conversations about controversial issues. They have conversations about learning their feelings and empathy. They have conversations about their faith, all while they eat cereal. And awesome. It's amazingly popular. There's nights we have board games. There's nights we have open mic nights. There's trivia night.
And you obviously have the concert series as well. You actually have concerts.
We actually have concerts here. Yeah. In fact, a couple months ago, I attended my first rave. Have you ever been to a rave?
I've not.
It's everything you think it might be. And it's just, there's laser lights and glow lights and people dressed with horse heads on and just dressed odd, and there's loud music, and there's DJ up front, and there was 900 teenagers.
Oh wow!
Just packed together like as tight as it can get. I don't know. It's not dancing because there's no room. It's just jumping up and down. It's just unbelievable.
I'm assuming there's a lot of ways to get involved, so some people, they have the means to give financially. Yeah. Others don't, some people just don't have that ability. So, there's volunteer opportunities. So but on both sides of that, how can people give their time or how can people give their money?
For both of those, they can go online to rocketown.org, and there's ways that a person can sign up to volunteer, and there's ways that a person can give and support the ministry. Every teenager who comes into Rocketown must be a member. Okay. But every membership's free. So the only purpose of the membership is so we know who's in the building. Yeah. That's really, and who their emergency contact is. But every membership's free, and we don't charge the kids for anything here. In fact, we even have a lunch program, and when kids get out of school and stop in at Rocketown, we want to make sure they're getting one free hot meal a day. Because they may or may not have had breakfast, and who knows if they're going to have dinner, who knows what they ate at lunch, but they're going to get one hot meal a day. And so we need Nashville's support and beyond, whether it's giving of your time and coming down here and volunteering, whether it's coming and giving your talent and helping the kids learn a new instrument or learn how to write songs, or learn to. We had an individual come in. Aaron English came the other day, and he has outreach in Africa with music and kids in Africa, and so we're trying to connect our kids to those kids through Skype and write songs together and so on. But sharing their talents or sharing their financial abilities, we really need that in order to survive here at Rocketown. And sure. So we need to keep the memberships free. We need to keep providing the food for them. We have free professional counseling services for those kids who need that. And they would never have the financial ability to do that, but we need to continue to supply that for them. So, we'd love for anybody to come and get involved and get to know us and help out these kids who need it the most.
Thanks for listening to Music City Giving. For more information on this episode or other episodes, visit musiccitygiving.co. That's musiccitygiving.co.